Hey Tony, thank you so much for having me on another episode of Rental Reviews.
Yeah, it's Rental Reviews. It's definitely not this new show called Talking About Tapes on Hacked Movies.
Yeah, I mean, the guys are going to be here soon and we're going to start recording.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, they're on their way. Any minute now, they'll be here. But before that, let's talk about Stargate.
You know, the first thing I thought when I watched Stargate is It's funny that they're like, they go flash back to the 20s when they actually find the Stargate.
Yes.
And the lady is there.
Yeah.
And then they flash forward now. And the thing is that, you know, this movie came out a long time ago relative to most things. So, like, I'm like,
95.
She's 102 now. You know? Right?
Well, before we talk about Stargate, I want to point out that this VHS came with coupons.
Did they?
Yes. Let's see what we can get here. We can save up to $10 for a floral arrangement.
Excellent.
We can get 50 cents off a 6-inch sandwich or $1 off a 12-inch sandwich from Subway. I'm going to try and redeem those. You know, sometimes you have trouble sleeping. You want to listen to relaxing stuff. We can get a jungle tapes. We can listen to lions and dinosaurs in the jungle.
Are those like the sounds heard in a rainforest cafe?
I think so. I know you're a Stargate fan. We have the book of the film and a spin-off book.
Huh.
Have you read Stargate Rebellion?
I have not, but you know, you would think that Stargate would be a series that would have like a ton of novels.
Yeah.
They're obviously out there, but I never saw them.
Really?
Yeah.
So there's Stargate lore that you don't know about.
Huh.
Yeah, and then finally we can get $1 off T1 or T2. So yeah, I assume these coupons still work. I don't think they've expired. But yeah, today we're here to talk about the film Stargate. I can't get it back in because the coupons. There we go. This movie, the question today is this movie bad? I feel like people look back on this movie negatively, and I think that's because of what Roland Emmerich did afterwards.
Okay. Like
Independence Day, well, that was a big hit, but, you know, kind of a cheesy movie. Then you had Godzilla, The Day After Tomorrow. What did you, 2012?
It very much saddens me that, you know, you have a movie like Stargate that I hold in very high regard. Yeah. Like the movie, the television series, all of that.
Yeah.
And then all those movies you just named are kind of weak.
What about The Patriot with Mel Gibson?
Does that
one hold up?
I mean, as much as I love seeing people stabbed with American flags, you know, that's...
Yeah, so I'm trying. I wanted to revisit this movie because I know you're a fan of the show, and I like this movie, and I watched a little bit of the show. So I went into it. I'm like, okay, is this movie bad? Let's find out. Has it aged poorly? Because I hadn't seen this in years. And I guess we'll go through the story first. We'll do like story, character, and production value.
Okay.
I think the story's good.
Yeah, there's a lot to it. I think there's one glaring hole that we have to mention.
What?
Okay, so they finally get into the Stargate.
Yeah.
They go over to Abydos, which it's never called Abydos in the movie.
That, yeah.
But they get over to the planet.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it's like, yo, Daniel, dial the gate. And he's like, I can't dial the gate. That's not going to happen. It's like, you're telling me that the 300 people in the underground military base can't look at their watch and be like, yo, in 25 minutes, dial us up again.
Yeah.
Like, they all forgot. They all...
Yeah, so we should probably say what the Stargate is.
Yeah.
The film, you find out in the 20s that they found this big gate in Egypt. And in the modern day, the now, which is actually 94, 95, they're trying to activate it, and it is basically a gate that'll send you to other parts of the universe. It's basically a way to travel and whatnot. And the whole story of the movie is that the military, they want to see what's on the other side of this gate. So they get the two characters and a bunch of team together to see what's over there. And I think the story is cool. I think it's interesting. I think it helped popularize the ancient aliens thing.
Right.
Which is way more popular now, but I don't remember that being... I'm sure they existed. I think even in The Thing, they reference ancient aliens, but
So would you say that Stargate is responsible for the success of late-night Discovery Channel documentaries?
Maybe. Or it was like a response to what was happening at the time. Aliens were kind of big in the 90s.
Right.
Yeah, so the story is actually really, really, really interesting. This idea that aliens came to Earth, pretended to be our gods, and then, like, enslaved us and brought them to the other planet. The characters are interesting, and we'll get to the characters in a second. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this before. Have you, before Stargate, like something like the aliens pretending to be gods and whatnot?
Oh, no, I can't. Nothing comes to mind.
Yeah. So yeah, it starts off with this cool idea, but then the movie does kind of drag toward the end, because then it just becomes, well, we got to shoot the bad guys.
Right.
And we got to stop a bomb from blowing up.
Well, I mean, I saw the movie in theaters.
Yeah.
And then I saw it today.
Yeah.
In that time period, a lot has happened. But I also watched like 16 seasons of Stargate. And I was expecting it to be way less like the show.
But it's not, really.
It's a lot like the show. The show is actually very faithful in all of the differences, other than casting, of course.
And there's other differences, like
very nitpicky.
Yeah.
The thing that I thought was most funny is, like, everyone on the team like meets a horrible fate in an episode later. I'm like, that person turns into a
thing and then that guy dies.
You know, it's like it's awful.
I will say there are things in this story that Roland Emmerich recycled later.
Yeah.
Basically, the tough guy, nerdy guy team up. So in this movie, you got James Spader and Kurt Russell. Independence Day, you have Jeff Goldblum and Will Smith, where they actually don't team up until, like, the very end of that movie. Like, people forget, like, Jeff Goldblum and Will Smith, I think they're only together for, like, the last 15 minutes. Like, they do not spend any time together. And then Godzilla, you have Matthew Broderick and Jean Reno, the French military dude. And then there's the running gag where he keeps sneezing. James Spader has allergies. They work that into Godzilla. There's just a random character who can't stop sneezing.
That's weird.
I don't. What was that funny? Did they think it was like so funny they had to put it in another movie? And Kurt Russell. I think this is one of the problems with the story. I think this is trying to be the next Star Wars or the next big, fun sci-fi franchise. And like in the very beginning, they're like, "Yeah, that guy's kid shot himself in the head," and it's like, "Well, that's pretty dark. That's pretty dark for this movie."
And really the only payoff of it is when Shara touches the gun, he's like, no!
Yeah.
That's the payoff. That's why you did that.
Yeah. And then Ra, like, when you finally see Ra, it's cool. Yeah. But then, like, his motivation, he's like, okay, well, I'm not using you guys as slaves anymore because you broke the Stargate. But you activated again, so I'm going to send the nuclear bomb you brought, because they brought a nuclear bomb, with my mineral and blow up Earth. Will that blow up Earth? Or
they said it was 100 times worse than a nuclear weapon. So I assume it would blow up North America.
Okay.
Or something like that.
Okay.
Those were the stakes for me, you know?
And it's like, okay, well, what is Ra trying to do other than stay alive? I don't think that was ever really...
Yeah,
what does he want to do with his prolonged life? Just make more slaves?
Sit on his combination starship and
pyramid
deck that opens up like it's very casual. It's the most casual alien ship ever. I want to know the conversations that take place when he's in space with all the naked Egypt dudes.
Yeah, that was like uncomfortable. I think I read that the directors chose to dress them like that to make the audience uncomfortable, and it worked.
But I do have to say that situation with them and Shari giving herself to Daniel and all of those creepy, uncomfortable moments are what made Showtime super interested in the property.
Yeah, people don't know. So if you watch the pilot episode of Stargate SG-1, which I did recently, you have to hunt down the original version that for some reason had full frontal nudity.
Well, you know what it was? The people who made SG-1 were like, no, that's not, we're like doing Star Trek thing over here. But, Showtime was like, what do you got? You know? So they constantly like shot things.
Yeah.
And then they were left on the cutting room floor like over and over again. And that was their relationship with Showtime.
Yeah. So I guess that to sum up story, I think the story is, the concept is more interesting than maybe the execution.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think the setup for Ra is cool, but then when he gets there, he's just generic bad guy.
Yeah.
Let's talk about characters, because I like the characters, not so much the actors playing them.
For the first third of the movie, I hated Daniel. I hated James Spader's character. I'm like, you are not Daniel. you are not. You're sneezing like. You know what's funny? In SG-1 in the pilot, O'Neill throws a tissue box through the Stargate.
I remember that specifically because I watched the pilot when I was younger because it was like a mini movie package basically, and I remember the sneezing thing. But does he ever sneeze again in that show?
No, but by the end of the movie, he's the Daniel from the show.
Yeah.
So that's his arc, and I hated it. And I even walked over to Tony's desk while I was watching it, and I'm like, Tony, this guy sucks. You know, like I'm not.
Yeah. I will say with James Spader, like I read that he like read the script and he thought it was trash.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I feel like this would read really well.
Yeah.
So he thought it was gonna suck, but he did it, and he put effort into it. He really like worked really, really hard on it. Mm-hmm. Some of the other actors I liked, the girl who plays Catherine. Yeah. Who was there when the Stargate was discovered. She gives him the necklace. I only know that woman from 3 things. This, she's the girl who killed her father in Creepshow and then gets killed by a zombie. And she is the brain-dead elderly woman that the demon possesses at the end of Exorcist 3. Those are the only 3 things I've ever seen her in. But seeing her in this, I'm like, wow, that girl was actually a really good actress. I wonder what else she was in. And apparently she died after the movie. So I have to go back, I guess. Kurt Russell. I love Kurt Russell. One of my favorite actors. I love seeing him in sci-fi films. He's awful in this movie.
The hair, man.
The hair is really bad.
It's like, what is going on? And like, you know, Jack O'Neill is like this lovable asshole. Like he makes jokes. He makes fun of he calls the Goa'uld the gold. Like he messes up their name. Like he's like a loose character. In this, it's like my son died. My wife hates me.
I guess maybe he's got a little bit of a reason to be miserable in this because it's so soon after his son died. But like he shows up on the planet. And it doesn't look like he gives a shit. Like, they make first contact. I mean, granted, it's with a space camel, so it's not that interesting. But you'd think he'd be like, oh, wow, this is, like, really big. Instead, he's like, so the camel's dragging this dude again. We gotta go find him.
I have to say, in, like, a pre-CGI world, that's an amazing space camel.
We're gonna get to production value. That's the next section.
I hear you.
But yeah, Kurt Russell, he really drags this movie. I don't even think you really needed his character.
No, it's really more...
Yeah, it should have been like Daniel's thing. And he's just... I guess he needed a military leader and they wanted it to be a big actor, but he just doesn't really do... Like, I don't really remember him doing much until at the end where he's just beating up the bad guys.
Right.
He has that one-liner, though. He cuts off a guy's head... with the teleporter, which is actually pretty awesome. He's like, send my regards to King Tut, asshole. And it's like,
see, that's the Jack from the series.
But does the Jack from the series not know that like King Tut was like a 9-year-old human who died?
No, but it doesn't matter because okay, he's supposed to be the self-insert for the guy who like drinks a beer, mows his lawn, like the everyman. Like he doesn't get computers. He doesn't get anything.
He is only like I guess his character arc in this is he learns to trust kids with weapons. That's literally his character arc. Is
pretty much.
It starts off he's about to. By the way, we meet the character. He's about to kill himself.
Yeah,
he's just straight up about to kill himself, and then he hides the gun. And leaves. It's like you should probably. You know, in the pilot, they say his wife left him. She probably went into the room and found the gun and was like, God damn it. So yeah, he finally learns to trust kids with guns. And I really want to point out something about his character. The whole time, you know, he's worried about the safety of kids. he has a chance to kill Ra at one Ra. He has a chance to kill Ra at one point, but he doesn't because the kids surround him. And then what does he do at the end of the movie? He sends a nuke to Ra's ship and kills him and all the kids on the ship.
That's a good point. Well,
because I'm sitting there and I see Ra like playing with the kids because he's ignoring the battle because, you know, he wants to look cool. And I'm just like, oh. And then I'm like, is there a scene where we see the kids leave the ship? And we don't. So I'm like, oh, he just nuked those kids.
They're just not there. No, like when he's up there and he sees the nuke come up, they're just not there.
I'm like, is there like a scene I don't know about where they like jumped in the teleporter or got in the escape?
No, because then they'd be in the room with them.
They would, yeah. So Kurt Russell murders children in this movie. Again, not a great character. Oh, wait, getting back to the story. I know we're skipping back. You realize they recycled this ending for Independence Day, right?
Yeah.
They put the nuke...
But they fly it in Independence Day.
Yeah, they shoot the nuke in the thing, but like it ends with an alien staring at a nuke while it's counting down. I think in Independence Day it might be counting down. And the nuke blows up in the alien's face and destroys a mothership. I'm like, it's the same ending. He ripped off... I guess it's okay to rip off yourself.
Yeah.
Pacific Rim did it. That was Guillermo del Toro ripping off, so I guess they don't get a pass.
I did appreciate that Rob broke the switch on it.
Yeah.
It makes sense, right? Because if he didn't break the switch on it and they sent it through, you know,
I love that Rob knows how we build our nuclear bombs.
General West just walks up and switches it off. He's like...
All right. Speaking of Rob, Jaye Davidson, he was the character in The Crying Game.
Okay.
Very famous movie. So this is the thing with this actor. He was a fashion assistant. He tried to get into acting. He ends up being in The Crying Game. And I see his point of view. He's like, okay, there's some big actors in this. The subject of this movie is pretty taboo. It's probably not going to be a big thing. And then it becomes a big movie and he gets nominated for an Academy Award on his first movie.
Right.
So he hated the attention he got from that. Because he was playing kind of a controversial role. Not these days it wouldn't be, but at the time. So he hated the attention he got. And they offered him Stargate. And he didn't want to do it, and he was like, okay, you know what, I'll make a crazy demand, like I'll do it for $1 million. He did not expect them to actually meet his demand and pay him $1 million. So when I was younger watching this, I really liked Ra, because I'm like, oh, there's like this weird aura to him. He's like this weird, like how he, you know, conducts himself, how he dresses himself. It's like this, he has this weird, I don't know how to explain it. Like, he just feels like he doesn't care about anything. Like, he's so above everyone else. But now, I learn, the actor just hated being in the movie, and he's pissed off the entire time.
But the thing is that the performance he did give, despite the fact he hated the movie, like, characterized what the Goa'uld would be like for the rest of the series.
That's actually really hilarious. So all these other actors are trying their hardest to imitate him.
Yeah.
When all he did was just phone it in.
Right.
Like, here's how difficult he was to work with. You notice how he always has that like shield on him?
Yeah.
Yeah. He didn't want to take his nipple rings out. They like kept asking him like, "Hey, can you remove your nipple rings for the movie?" And he was like, "Nah." So even when they flashback, you find out Ra was an alien that possessed like the body of a human. So even when he's like in the human in the flashback, they have to cover up his nipple rings.
That's probably the biggest change between the movie and
the show. Because in the movie, he's just a straight up alien.
Well, in the movie, he looks like an Asgardian. Like which come in later in the series. But, you know, they're not the little slugs.
And so Ra's species in the show become like big slug things. Little slug things. Different in this movie, but like, it's so funny knowing how much he hated the role. Apparently the last day of filming, because he hated this outfit too. Because it was, I imagine it's super uncomfortable, but also he didn't take his nipple rings out, so they had to build the thing. The last day of filming, when they said cut, he just ripped off the outfit and just stormed off the set naked into his trailer. And then after that, he was in one made-for-TV movie, and then he played a Nazi in a short film in 2009, and that's the only acting he's ever done.
Wow.
He went back to being a fascist, so he was in like one of the biggest movies ever, nominated, did Stargate. It was like, all right, I'm done. Bye.
You know how when you watch stuff on Amazon and you pause it, it's like the X-ray?
Yeah.
His picture is just him. It's a black and white photo, and he just looks like...
He looks so different today. If you look at him today, because everyone's used to seeing him look kind of like effeminate and androgynous, but if you look at him today, he's like tatted up. He's got like a buzz cut and stuff. So yeah, it's funny because like, depending on what you know going into that movie, the character works two different ways. It works as this cool alien guy, or it works as just laughing at an actor who looks like he's pissed off.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, one last thing about characters. French Stewart's in this movie.
Okay.
He was the one of the aliens in Third Rock from the Sun. He was the one that would do the messages.
Yeah. Oh, he's the guy who runs and gets...
Yeah. So I'm used to seeing him as a wacky guy.
Yeah.
Like he replaced Matthew Broderick in Inspector Gadget 2, and he replaced one of the guys in Home Alone 5. He's like the wacky comic guys, but in this movie, he's supposed to be the tough military dude.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't clicking with me. And then one of the gods, Ra's guards, is, I'm going to butcher his name, Tujman Hanzu from Amistad and Gladiator and Guardians of the Galaxy. It's like one of his first big roles.
Okay.
I like his henchmen, Ra's henchmen. They don't really do much. But, so
they're motivated.
Yeah. So characters, I think the characters of this movie are pretty weak.
Yeah.
I think maybe that's what kind of taints this movie. But production values. This movie looks great.
The Stargate has never looked better.
The Stargate, because we were talking about it. The Stargate in this movie was only built in 2 locations, I think.
Yeah.
The Stargate in the show, I imagine they had to move it
every
around.
Every planet,
and they only have one, I assume.
Yeah.
The Stargate looks great. The facility looks cool. When you get to the planet, I like the little pyramid that they're in. And at first, I was like, when I rewatched this, I'm like, I remember this pyramid looking way cooler. And I forgot that Ra's spaceship was also a pyramid.
On it, yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder where they shot that desert. Because if you watch it, like you were watching the VHS one, but I was watching on a nice monitor, latest edition, streaming, all of that. Yeah. Like the grains of sand blowing, like it's definitely shot on location in some amazing desert somewhere.
Yes. And the sets look beautiful. That whole like little village looks great. The matte shot still holds, like the matte shots still hold up. The miniatures, like, so Roland Emmerich, like as much as we shit on like Independence Day stuff now, like this movie and Independence Day, the miniatures are amazing.
There's a couple bad shots. There's a couple
of the smaller ships.
The shot of the pyramid as the big pyramid lands on it. It looks like something that we shot in the room over there.
Okay, like not all of it holds up.
They're like it's in the dark. Don't worry about this one.
Not all of it holds up. I want to say Patrick Tatopoulos. He's worked with Roland Emmerich on many movies. He is a great like production and creature designer, but he usually gets wasted on like shit movies. Like I really like his design of the '98 Godzilla.
Okay.
I don't think it looks good as
catch some shit for that.
No. Here's the thing. He was directed to make Godzilla look more like an iguana. And under that direction, I think he did a really good job. It's not how I would have made Godzilla. And I realize we have the action figure of what I'm talking about underneath me. But he's worked on like Independence Day. He's worked on like Batman v Superman and stuff. He's worked on some really good movies and has done really good work. But a lot of those movies suck. But this movie, like the Ra's guards look great.
They look awesome.
And I like, it's kind of funny because they wear the big helmets to kind of scare the people. And their heads are like robotic. But then I kept thinking like their heads are moving, but their faces are actually in the neck. So I guess they have a screen.
The way that the helmets transform and stuff for the time this movie was in it, it's like, whoa.
Oh yeah, this looks, it would look way better now. You would see like the little nano stuff.
It depends on who does it. Like look at movies like Transformers where you could have all the CGI in the world, infinite budget. Yeah. But if the production design is bad, it's just bad.
Yeah. I will say like it kind of, part of it doesn't make sense. I'm like, where does all the metal go? Now you would do now you say it's nanobots. Yeah. Kind of like Star-Lord's mask and Iron Man and the Avengers. But yeah, part of it is like, where does it all go? But they look awesome. And the first time you see them, it's super cool. Like I think it's Anubis that attacks him first. They look great. Ra looks awesome when he comes in with like the King Tut looking helmet. Yeah. I guess that's why he called him King Tut.
Well, I mean, and I like that his is different too. Like they took that completely out for the show.
Yeah.
But I thought that was awesome because it's like a sarcophagus coming at you.
Yeah, the sarcophagus is cool. So Ra has like a healing chamber that he sits in, and apparently he picked human bodies because they're real easy to heal.
Yeah, he says that when he's in there.
Yeah, and I like the look of the villagers and so. Oh, we forgot to talk about. I think one of the problems with this movie, the villagers, the natives of the Abydos. Okay, like they're not subtitled for the first half of the movie, which is fine.
But it's like you're supposed to come into it when Daniel learns.
Yeah.
Well, what it is the movie follows, Daniel and O'Neill. They're the protagonists of the movie.
Yeah.
Then O'Neill gets captured. They pull him out. Mm-hmm. Then Daniel gets captured, and it cuts to them.
Yeah.
And then they start being subtitled.
Well, that's
because you're coming out of the. It's an artistic choice.
I guess so. It's just I would have liked maybe like a gradual, like a subtitle here and there as they learned words. But then it's just like, boom, they're subtitled. You know everything now.
Because you would have gone 15 minutes. It would have become a foreign film for 15 minutes at that point.
But yeah, so the production value is great. And I love the Stargate effect. With
where
like the water. Yeah,
out.
They like filmed like the water shooting out and coming back in.
Yeah.
It looks cool. I love like the little space bridge.
Yeah.
And it's all like that's when I first saw that, like that like fucked with me. I was like thinking, I'm like, oh my god, what if I took one step and I'm on the other side of the universe? Like that would mess with your brain. I know
there's another change.
I know.
which is funny because everybody who talks about Stargate the movie, in the Stargate community, always criticizes that the Stargate, the way that the Stargate works, they changed it.
Yeah.
And they always say, like at the beginning, in the first episode, in the pilot of SG-1, they say, we thought it only went to Abydos, but really it goes all these other places.
Yeah.
They knew it went other places and how it worked in this movie. He draws it on the whiteboard in front of all of the people. So that's not a fair criticism.
Yeah. But yeah, so overall production value is good. So here we go. Is the movie good? Now that we've talked about all this stuff and we've really thought about it. I think the movie is okay. It wasn't the big game changer the way I thought it was going to be, but it did become the next big sci-fi franchise. And the way I look at this, imagine this is like the pilot episode. Not all pilot episodes are technically in canon with the rest of the show. Like I always talk about Seinfeld. Kramer's name was Kessler. The apartment looked different. Arrested Development, the house, the condo that they have looks completely different. And the biggest one, the best example I can think of is Buffy the Vampire Slayer. That show was technically a continuation of the movie, which wasn't very good, and fans hate the movie to the point where like they made a comic that was the script to the movie but done better, and that's now the beginning. So that's how I feel about this, because there are continuity errors throughout the show. But yeah.
The first 15, 20 minutes I watched it, I'm like, man, screw this show. These aren't the characters. This movie's awful. I'm out.
Yeah.
But as I watched it, you see Stargate being born.
Yeah.
And coming into it. And the few little nitpicky things only bother you if you get bothered by nitpicky things.
Yeah.
I think it's great. It's a perfect prequel to an amazing series that I love.
Yeah.
And I really, really wish we had more sci-fi that is like Stargate.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's great.
Yes. And it's great in terms of the show. But if there was no show, if it was just taking it as it is.
I like it better than Independence Day.
Oh, yeah. And the Independence Day has a bigger spectacle to it.
Sure.
And I think some of the characters are better in Independence Day. But the story's way better in this. And the concept's way cooler.
I think Will Smith is probably a more fun actor than everyone in this movie.
But yeah, because this movie really got panned critically.
Yeah.
I think the audience loved it, but watching it, I can't find anything. Yeah. There's things that could be done better. This movie could have definitely been done better, but it's not like this big shit show people think it is.
You know what I think it is? I think modern critics, when they see dudes in suits and stuff, that they shut off.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas, like, if this was a movie that came out, like, you were looking at all the Ray Harryhausen stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Like this movie goes back to, like, the spectacle of, like, those kind of genre films and things. Whereas like I could see your average like New York, LA critic being like, it's weird.
Yeah.
You know?
And I really think it's a victim of Roland Emmerich. It kind of reminds me of Alex Proyas. He did like The Crow, Dark City, which are these great movies. And then he does stuff like I, Robot and Gods of Egypt and like just schlock. So I think people are judging this based off his later works. And it's like, okay, like I know he's kind of like a hack guy, but can we just appreciate this one time he almost made something really good?
People still talk about iRobot. I think that there were statements made that
they're memeing iRobot right now.
Yeah.
Have you seen those?
Oh, I would love to, but I haven't.
You know about the Jada Pinkett stuff, right?
No, I don't. I'll check.
All right, look up the Jada Pinkett, Will Smith talking about the affair video, and then look up the iRobot memes based off it. Because they're pretty much framed like the interrogation from iRobot, and people keep cutting back into
Oh my god, that's cool.
But yeah, so Stargate, I give it an okay, you give it a great.
It's great.
It's great, and the critics don't know what they're talking about.
You got it.
One last thing before we go. I mean, before the rental reviews guys come here for the very still active rental review. Oh, they texted me. Let me check my. Hello, Justin.
Did you just get me to do a review?
No,
Is this an unsanctioned review, Tony?
I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, traffic. He's stuck in traffic. Let me hang up my phone. I just realized I had a phone here and I picked up the mouse instead.
Oh my.
Anyway, so if you're gonna play. If you're gonna watch Stargate, not play Stargate. If you're gonna watch Stargate, I recommend you play the Stargate drinking game.
Okay.
This really helped me through the last one. So first off, you got anytime someone says gate.
Holy crap.
Yeah. Get ready for this next one. You see the Stargate. Stargate's in a lot of shots. Someone says Ra.
You know, that one's like, the further you get into Stargate, the less that's a problem.
Yeah. You see the Eye of Ra, the little symbol.
Okay.
That's in it a lot. They show that necklace and the symbol everywhere. Yeah. Someone sneezes. It's gonna couple. And this is the big one. You hear the Stargate theme.
Wait, so you're like 4 shots in by the time the...
So the Stargate theme, by the way, is great.
It's amazing.
It's a really good theme score, and they knew it was great because they play it over and over.
I want to mention that the Stargate theme in the movie is like the Mighty Buffalo, that then when it goes into the series, every single piece of that has been cut and put into an episode somewhere in some way. They're like, this is what we have.
Yeah. They play it at weird times, though, because they play it like... when the camel is dragging James Spader through the desert, they're like, oh, this is where you need to hear the Stargate theme. Like, I don't know. It's kind of weird. That's like if, like, when Luke's fighting the Sand People, if they just started playing the Star Wars March, like, right then and there, it would have been awkward. So anyway, thanks for being here for rental reviews, Ryan.
Oh, I can't wait to start.
Yeah. You know, you
excited.
just stay here, and I'm going to leave. And they'll be here any second now to review a movie with you. And
all right, man. Bye, Tony. Tony?